Hey
guys, Scotch for Dummies here.
Cheers.
Thursday
cheers,
night
cheers.
live
Home
again.
court.
Home
I
court.
finished my dram.
Oh, here,
In the
have
house.
some G.
Have some G.
Holy
That's
moly.
That one's Leo.
That's last week.
That's good.
We're all here.
All right.
We're all
And this
here.
is exciting.
It's been a while. It's
It
been
has
a
been a
minute.
freaking
been
while,
2
and
weeks.
this is awesome. I'm going to say cheers to that. And I'm also going to say cheers to Tom R. for a
Happy
happy
birthday,
birthday.
Tommy.
Happy-
Yeah, to Tommy.
To Tom.
To Tom. Hell of a guy.
We should have some of his whiskey or some of his rum. It's at his house.
Yeah, we should.
Gerben,
All right,
Gerben. Let's call him out too.
Look at it.
Because he was one of the probably the most excited about Swimming the Sundays. Perfect time for him. I get it. But the dude is a trooper. He still gets up.
He still
It's
gets up.
4 a.m.
I love him.
4 a.m. over there. Him and Hoagie, man. I love those guys.
I feel like we got to go visit him.
I was just
I
going
like
to
that.
say that.
What do you think?
Gerb,
I'd
can we
love to
just
go
go
see
crash your place and do a
Whiskey
live
Mystery,
from there?
Whiskey Mystery now can actually drink at a reasonable hour as opposed to like 9 a.m. or whatever it was. 10 a.m.
That's reasonable.
That seems reasonable to me.
That's
fine.
What's reasonable about that? So, welcome to Thursday nights. What do we got going on? We are continuing.
The bracket, the blend, the do-it-yourself blended bracket Patreon.
Yep,
Bracket.
the Patreon
I'm excited
bracket.
to be here
So,
for this.
So last week was
Tell us.
kind of the
Tell us what
entry.
this is.
So last week we started off with we should talk about those two bottles too, by the way, just for a recap. We did the Voyager 1 and 2.
Let's get those up.
That was a really cool segment. But then we also we had 10 entries overall, and it didn't fit into the bracket. So we decided that we'd pick 4 randoms last week, and we hit them.
What did people enter? So you said entries, but for those who are just joining us on a Thursday night,
Right.
What is this DIY blend?
So this is basically a Patreon-only blend-off of Scotch whiskey, single malt.
It's blended.
It's blended, but you can basically make your own do-it-yourself blend.
Yeah. So if you're a person that has more than like 2 bottles on their bar, and both
qualify.
of them are kind of missing something, you always wondered what would happen if I put these together. That's what we're learning about tonight. So these guys are some of our best patrons, have come through and created their blend based on an idea, a certain profile that they were trying to get. And so they took bottles from them. I think they're all Scotch. Is that the rule?
Well,
The exact rule?
we kind of were exactly.
We weren't.
We were a little gray because I know last week Justin O, which I'm drinking his right now
Yep,
actually.
I have too.
He had I think he had a little Booker's in his,
You
which
did.
actually
Okay.
wasn't bad.
Yeah, but it's no less than 10% of any one bottle. So you can't add like a drop of
Yes.
something and call it fancy. So
But it's an interesting idea because it was probably a month or so, and we did a little bracket or a little blend off on my own. I put you guys to the test, and it was interesting, and it was so interesting we thought it would be kind of cool to share. And we're getting hounded by Molly here for some stuff.
Yeah,
guys.
let's take a time out. Back up.
so we had
Dan Cleric and
And
Zach
Zach.
Andrews are
Zach,
both
yes.
super chatting for
Thank you.
Tom's birthday.
Tom's
Tom's 21st
birthday.
I guess we're taking a collection up a few times.
Collection for Tom's bottle, guys.
No, thank you guys.
Actually, you
That
know
was
what?
awesome.
I like that idea. Every super chat tonight goes for Tom for a bottle.
all right. We'll buy a bottle for
All
Tom.
right, Tom.
think
You
that's a
might
great
end up
idea.
with a plastic handle.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
buying.
two.
I'm buying. So, no, the key to this, though, this is not something I've ever pursued. I've never, ever tried to blend a bottle because I like to explore a bottle from what the distiller or the master blender wanted to put together for that bottle. I've never, maybe it's a mental block. I've never felt qualified to blend whiskey. Now,
I'm with
clearly
you.
anybody can do it.
I've never had the desire to blend, but I do have a desire to do an infinity bottle. To me, and that's kind of the same thing. It just takes it, you're not doing a concerted effort, where a blend is really a concerted effort of what you're trying to put together. And I just don't think I have it in me to do it. I don't know.
There's got to be an art to it. That's kind of what we're figuring out now. I think when you do
There is
something
an
like this, it's a little easier to do the art, like the infinity bottle stuff. That
Well,
can be a hit or miss, maybe. I don't know if it's one of those things.
It's garbage in, garbage out kind of thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because we were pouring like our crappiest, cheapest bottles in. Like, we don't really want to finish this. Let's put it in the infinity bottle.
Well, that's true.
Let's be clear and
That's
transparent. We were doing that because Sean was very adamant about not putting it in.
Well, I'm not going to pour a good bottle in there. I want to drink it.
I was like, let's put some of this in the infinity bottle. Sean's like, hell no.
No,
I'm
we're
finishing that
drinking
bottle.
that.
That's how that works.
That's
I don't
funny.
even know why you guys are asking.
Right?
Yep.
That's so true.
Do that stuff at your house.
Exactly. That's exactly the way he was too. So it didn't work out. Our infinity bottle didn't work out so well.
No,
But-
it was trash.
But these blends are all by patrons. So last week we did 2.
We
You know,
did too.
And this week we're going to do 4 bottles. We have 2 sets of
Which bracket
competitors.
first?
J
Actually, last
against
week we did
D,
4 as well. This week
Yeah.
we did 4. So
J
this is-
against D and C against F. They've been labeled with letters so we don't know who's who. We
I'm
do
gonna
have
start
their
pouring.
recipes after we declare a winner
Yeah, pour.
tonight in this
Make sure
bracket,
you get
this
the right
round.
ones,
We'll talk about the recipe of the
See
one
it
that lost.
Can I show that?
But this
D
week
and
we're
J.
doing
Nah.
2 rounds. Next
do
week,
GG
here's the
first.
bracket. Can they see the bracket?
No.
Next week we're doing 2 more, and then the semifinals, I guess, or actually it's the final round.
Final 4.
The final 4 will go off, and we're going to do that just for the patrons only, since they're the ones that
Well,
participated in it.
It's championship is the
Yeah, the
patrons.
final
patron
round.
only.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got this tonight, which we're doing 4, which is Team D, Team J, and then Team F and Team C. Next week we're doing Team E and A against. I'm sorry, Team E versus A and Team H versus I. Then the following week, which is the final 4, we're doing the winners of all of those 4. And then
to
the
get
follow-
our final 2.
Correct.
Right. And then this will all end with the championship on a patron-only show where we're going to go over it, and hopefully everyone that participated is on that show so we can all talk about it. But then that following
No cheating.
week,
Let's
it's
see
either that
cheating.
following week or the week after that, we're actually going to have a master blender from Compass Box on to talk about blending. And if we're fortunate or lucky enough to have a little left over, we might actually send him a sample just to get his thought.
It'd be
You
kind
know,
of fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's get his perspective, but it'll be a good way to put an exclamation point on this little competition, and maybe we do it again. We'll see how this goes. It's been fun for us, and I'll be very curious to hear how the participants feel about it when it's all said and done. D, B, she.
Yeah, so Tom is now 21 years old. That's why the 21s are coming
I
in.
like that.
Tom's
He's
21.
gonna have a nice bottle. This keeps
Thank you,
up.
D.
Right?
Thank you. Cheers.
So I poured D and J. This is the first part of our first round of our bracket for tonight.
So let
And
those sit for a minute.
Yeah, we could. That's gonna be close.
Why don't we talk about the Voyagers? Real
That's what I
quick?
was gonna say. We'll let those sit for a hot
Talk about
second.
this one second.
Yeah, just for highlight.
All right, quick.
So just a recap of these 2 bottles. We did these when I guess
Sunday.
we actually
Sunday.
opened them on Sunday.
Yep.
On that live show, which was our last Sunday live. I mean, we're back.
For a little while.
We're back. Thursday nights is it. These 2 bottles are the Whiskey Barrel exclusives. They were bottled for the Whiskey Barrel.
Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
To the Thursday
Yes,
lives.
yes,
Yeah,
cheers.
yeah,
yes.
we're back home.
I'm
We
gonna
got
need
you.
another pour before I continue to talk about
Yep.
this. Drew, you want to talk about them?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So the Voyager 1 and 2, which you actually made a comment the next day, right?
Yeah, so the next day I saw on social media and everything that they had just got new signals back from the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which they're outside of the heliosphere, so they're outside of any of the planets circling our sun, and they got some like suborbital or super space hum that they're recording now on some of their sensors.
They translated and says, "Our base is yours."
You should drink more Scotch, is what it said. It's really weird.
Drink
Even,
more
even the aliens know Scotch is good. So we tried these bottles. These are the Whiskey Barrel. Put these together with some really fairly young whiskey. There's a 4 and a 5 year old here. Voyager 1, Voyager 2. This is sort of an extension of their One Giant Leap and One Small Step in their series that they were doing. But these are younger, more obscure distilleries.
Well, new distilleries, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. So I mean, they're both. These are actually the Inch Darney, the Strathernry bottle here that we have. It's rumored that it very might be the distillate from their first run, and if it's not the first run, it's the second. I mean, this
Wow.
is
Yeah, there's
kinda-
nothing else out there by this distillery.
Right.
None of their own
Dude,
bottles are
I
out.
really liked it. It was
Yeah.
fruity and nice. Like, it was good.
So the bottle that the Inch Darney bottle, they don't even know when they're going to bottle it. They've got it aging, and they've got a counter that says we could unveil it at this time. That it's not going to be no less than 12. It'll be at least 12 years old when they do. They just don't know when that's going to be. So in the meantime, they're doing the Strathernry bottling, which is basically the same recipe, just not aged as long, and
Fair enough.
but they're doing some interesting stuff, and we're actually going to have someone from that distillery on as a live, which very well may be a Sunday live since they're over the pond. But that's coming up here in the next couple months too. So I'm excited to talk to those guys because they're doing some really cool stuff, and it's a very new distillery.
Right on.
and talk
And
about
these
their
are
challenges.
so close.
You want to dive into this stuff?
I think we should hit our.
Is it time, or are we going to talk? Well, we'll do that, and then we'll take a break
We'll
and talk about
between
5
them.
minutes.
Well,
Yeah,
we're pouring.
alright.
All right, so
Okay, so what do we have here? Time
D and J.
So we have blend D and blend J. We have one glass, so we're all going through the same glass. We're all tasting the same.
We'll share D
nosing it.
around, then we'll
Okay,
go.
so D's going to make the round.
So these are both. We don't know anything about these right now. We don't know who they are. We don't have their blends. We don't have any information on them at this point.
Pretty cool nose.
So we're going to go through these completely blind.
Right, we have no
Two-
idea what
two
they
things.
are.
Marshmallow, a little peat, cinnamon.
Oh, so you get some peat on it.
I think so.
Okay.
It could be something else. Maybe like a charring.
And I think there's a fair amount of sherry in both of these. I think,
Oh, I get the
especially
cinnamon.
J. Yeah. So cinnamon. What produces cinnamon? What
Cinnamon.
flavor?
There's a little bit of like cedar. There's a wood influence in there. That's
Is
Some
it
very
European oak,
interesting.
maybe, or is that what's producing that spiciness?
Could be. I'm
So
gonna
I
go J.
saw
Yeah, go
Eric
ahead and do
Wade, I see George Cap, I see Tom Marr. We haven't called
That's
anybody out.
interesting.
Are we gonna?
The Mandalorian fanboy, nice.
Yeah, I've got a. I actually got an iPod case shaped of the Mandalorian head. That little iPod charger goes in. It's pretty cool.
This one's a
I
little
do
harder.
get a
It's,
little bit of
it's
that.
creamy on the nose, but more like a bourbon.
I think I'm getting PX on that one.
I don't. Man, it's not that sherry to me.
Oh, I get it.
Do
You
you?
get the PX? Yeah, I do. So
Man,
it's
I
more
can't
of
get
that
anything off of that.
fruity sherry.
Tom wants to know how your nose is tonight.
Not so
Apparently
good.
not.
One,
Yeah.
1 to 10, he says. How's it?
I'm gonna say about a 3 or 4. I get a little bit of sweetness out of there. Maybe I got a little bit of peat. Maybe it was because Drew said something. I'm not sure.
I get some fruity sherry on this one. It's got
Ironically enough, Tom, on
There's
my
a sweetness
smelling
to it.
test kit that I have at home that I hit about 3 or 4 times a day while I'm on calls, I can get all those right.
But the nose of this, it smells
a
mostly
start.
bourbon.
Who do we have up right now?
I
These
don't know
two?
if it's sherry.
yeah.
Ooh,
You
this
get that one?
Yeah,
That's
this
the
one
old
smells a little richer to me.
See that first whiff?
I think
get,
I like
get
this
like
one.
that earthy cinnamon earth.
No,
I
there's,
get
there's
I
some
get
sherry
pistachios
influence
too
on
in the
Jay.
nose.
Yeah.
A pistachio
I
flavor.
for
That
sure.
is really tasty. It's a little warm on ABV.
Is that why your eyes
Really
are red?
tasty. It's creamy. That's probably what it is. Mostly bourbon barrel. Not getting much sherry influence there, I don't think.
You getting any peat on it?
It may be just heavy char.
I don't think I've ever had a whiskey that smells this cinnamony before.
See, I'm
Lots of cinnamon
disappointed. I'm
red
not
hots on
getting
it.
that.
Like
on the
red
palate,
hot candies.
Definitely getting that on the finish of the palate.
I think it does have a tad bit of peat.
Well, I like
Or just a
I like
touch.
Andrew's suggestion. Though. Maybe it's just a charring.
Well, I don't know, because charring generally doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. And it's color and it actually purifies. So, no, this is it.
Okay,
It's like you
okay.
dropped like a little
I
tad
get
bit
your
of red hot
cinnamon.
in there a little bit. You know,
You get the cinnamon?
I do.
I totally get the
I don't
cinnamon.
think it's Fireball, but
But there's something.
It's
Oh.
surprisingly cinnamony.
But it's not like off-putting
No,
either.
there's,
It's just weird. It's a little different.
No, there's some bourbon in there. There's some bourbon.
One scotch and one beer.
Amen to that. I like that, man. I'm down with it.
ooh, there may be some wine finish in that one too.
Okay, now I'm getting the sherry on this one you guys mentioned earlier.
Yeah, there's some depth on that one. There's some wine cask or something in there that is really creamy, rich. Burgundy cask or cab, something. There's not cab. There's some
So-
red wine cask in
The
that.
spiciness really gets
Wow.
pulled down with the sweetness in the bottom of it, though. That's interesting.
Both of these are fantastic drams. I
Okay,
would
hang on a
not turn these down at any point.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know if
steal
it's
this bottle
PX
of
or
water.
Oloroso. I can't tell.
Man,
That's good.
that's
I don't know if it's PX or if
that's
it's the wine cask.
leather and dried fruit and like old tobacco.
So do you think
That's
it's PX or
that's a
is it-
really
am
good blend, but it's not like it's. Go ahead.
Am I not getting wine cask? Is not nobody else getting that?
There-
I'm not getting
there's
wine
a-
cask.
Okay.
I would say there's a sweetness to it that
Maybe port.
could have a little bit of like a red wine finish in it. Because I get like some ruby
Let's add a little
fruits.
bit more in
No,
some
we need
water.
some
So
water, yeah.
so maybe you're
Yeah.
Which one is that one? This is D.
I don't know what that is.
Wow, that's cloying. That's dry.
Yeah.
And it's hot as hell.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until I,
Here you go.
until I switched it around and swallowed and was like, oh, well,
Whoa.
you're going to punch me in the face. That's awesome.
Hello.
Pour a little bit more of whatever that is in there.
J. I'm pouring more J into J.
Oh,
I
you know
will
what?
say D was interesting.
It's Canadian dollars, Tom. Thank you, Chad.
I'm
Thank you,
curious
Chad.
about the cinnamon finish because I've never had
know.
a whiskey like that.
Well, you've had the.
Yeah, I mean,
the
but like a
what's that called?
Scotch that would be
Chicken
I gotta tell you,
like that.
my mouth is numb from J. That's a hot burner right there.
I like it.
Oh,
I
That's
like that
totally.
one.
It's either PX.
you
or,
added water to this now too.
Yeah.
They both
That's
had
opened
water.
up a
Yeah,
lot.
they both had water. This
All right,
is
this
too.
is
No,
getting
I'm-
action, guys.
I'm curious
Oh,
about the
now it's
cinnamon
on.
one.
These are
It's
great.
amazing what the water does. So this has cake batter in it now. That
Man, this
cinnamon
is
is turning
tight.
cake batter.
Really?
This is tight, you guys. I don't know where this is gonna fall. We might have to flip coin. That's not fair.
That's sweet finish now.
Huh.
I've not had that before.
Really?
That,
Totally
No,
unexpected.
no, no,
that
no.
changed a
That's
lot.
the cinnamon one.
Yeah.
I did get
This did
sweet
too.
underneath the cinnamon.
Yeah, that.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's better than it was. Man.
That has
So
improved
we-
significantly with water.
Arguably, we probably need another couple glasses to do this right because I want to spend more time with each glass to really explore it. And passing one around is.
Speed dramming.
I'm representing.
So when we're done with this, why don't we convert these into?
Huh.
We can rinse them and try it.
Okay, so I'm losing the cinnamony on the nose. It's just getting
It's
a
not
lot
there,
sweeter.
yeah.
On D.
I
On
still
D,
get it.
the water-
But it's not nearly as
The water really helped.
potent. I'm getting a lot more of the sweet vanilla
Those bourbon
cake
flavors.
type. It's coming up. It's a very interesting dynamic Scotch. Oh man.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Man, you
that's
guys.
good too. Gosh, this is hard.
I
This is a
know.
really
I
hard one.
hate it when there's not one that just jumps out and says I'm out.
Yeah, this one's gonna be like really close. I think. I like them both actually.
That one didn't like the water didn't
It did
touch
not
that one at
evolve.
all.
It's still strong.
I think this one's a much higher ABV
Yes,
than the other
I
one.
agree.
I mean, it's still even
That's
with
like-
the
that's like a
water.
48.
Probably, I bet that's in mid
50?
50s.
You think it's higher? Okay.
It's
I
a
added
hot
several
one.
drops to it.
Yeah, it's a hot one. I'm not complaining.
That is
Don't
so
get that-
good.
don't get that
D. So I will say that the D blend, there is a little bit of smokiness in that.
I think so too.
Especially on the finish. I'm getting definitely on the
I
finish.
kind of. I'm gonna tell you something. I think
so nice.
So D is the one, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
So I think. Go ahead.
we need
Yeah,
to
there's
discuss a
definitely P to
rule
D.
here.
What's that?
We have 4 dummies here. We could end up in a tie on this.
We'll flip a coin.
Before we even start talking about it and calling out which one you prefer, we need to set the rules straight right now. What happens if 2 go with D and 2 go with J?
Then I think it's like a jury room. We got to talk somebody into our position.
I think so.
Right.
too.
Holy
I like
cow,
that.
this could go long,
Right.
kids.
I was going to
Right.
say I would flip a
Wow,
coin. but-
4 angry men.
Well, there's a lot of Scotch on this bar. Somebody's going to be a winner.
All right. So let me start off with.
I'm not working tomorrow.
I think D has the most interesting character to it. It has somewhat a complexity because it just evolved quite a bit. Now, I'll say that with a little bit of a smirk because
Grape jelly.
it wasn't like the best flavors. It was a little weird. The cinnamon was really strong up front.
It's way better with water.
With water, absolutely, hands down,
Yeah.
much better evolution of it. But it was neat. It definitely evolved. Whereas J was good out of the gate, although monotone.
Well,
it
it's a
didn't
little
really.
it's a little disjointed, I think.
It didn't
Really?
You get like
What-
grape
what's-
jelly on it now. I mean, it's super sweet, and
I don't get the
I don't think it's
sweetness of
super
it.
sweet. Grape jelly, but I think the J is a typical sherry-ish bomb. That wasn't huge in the sherry, but it was kind of like this the entire time. Water didn't touch it. ABV is strong with it. I feel like it's
The
a
force is strong
quality.
with that one.
I feel like the quality of Scotch with this one, maybe even better. I feel like this one was like a Frankenstein, but it worked out pretty well. I like them both, but I feel like I should go with J because of what I feel like in my palate. I think that's more what I would drink. But I really appreciate the D.
So I get what you're saying.
Don't we all?
And I honestly, I didn't really care for D that much up front.
I didn't
like,
either.
I'm not a huge cinnamon guy, so on the nose, I was like, oh, this is very cinnamony. Like, really cinnamony. It wasn't that bad on the palate, but it was still pretty prevalent. But you got some sweetness undertones. It was much better with the water. And it was interesting how it kind of evolved into like a cake batter with like baking spices and stuff. And I'm with you. I think it was kind of like, I don't know if you can plan that.
It was
you know what I
weird.
mean? But
Like,
it
it's
worked
completely
out very
switched.
well. But I think Jay, I agree. I think it was probably made with a little
Better.
bit older stock. I mean, it's got a pungent flavor. Like, that's not going to be young Scotch.
It came
That's
out of the
gonna
gate ready to go.
Yeah. I think that it almost needed more water to open up because it was still pretty tight.
I agree.
And I think that we maybe should have just like dropped some water in and let that sit for a little bit because it was pretty closed off.
I agree.
But it had good flavors, and I liked it neat and with water. Are you adding more water? Better put some more water in that.
It's about a third water now.
So which one are you going with?
I would say J.
Okay.
I think that it held up together. I'm just not a huge cinnamon guy, so the neat on D just kind of threw me off.
Put your
a
nose
little
in the
So-
on blend D right now. It is.
If it's a tie,
Fame.
you got to go jury caucus style and talk a guy into coming over. That's what we're doing Sunday evening. So I like where you guys are going at because I agree with you in the fact that first of all, J is going to hit my palate right now. That's my profile. That's kind of where I'm at. So that weighs a lot because it's really what I'm into right now. I think that J was put together as a really safe blend with good Scotch. I think D was more of an experiment, and I think they pushed the boundaries a little bit. What's a little bit of this going to do? What's a little bit of this? And it came together. Now, ironically enough, I didn't get any of the cinnamon the first nose. And mind you, I'm still struggling with that a little bit. Guys, it came back around, and yeah, I started to get it. But on the flavor profile, I got that cinnamon spice, but I got this sweet note under it, and I was like, man, what is going on with this? To me, it's interesting as hell. And I applaud the effort for putting that together. I'm dying to find out what's in it because I really think it was much more of an experiment, whereas Jay was probably a safer marrying. And just in my palate.
I would agree with that.
I'm going with Jay because of that and because it's my flavor profile right now. I really want to find out what's in D.
I am
and
very
gotta tell
intrigued about D.
I started this earlier to say I have no interest in doing this crap, blending myself. But I really want to know what's in it because I don't want to go home and try to reproduce and be like, all right,
It's D.
wait a
It's
minute.
D.
He put what? And they put what? And what did they do? What? But okay,
So not that it really matters what my opinion is because you all pick J. So, but I will put it up front. D is a fantastic whiskey. I think whoever blended D did a great job. I love the balance of the sweet bourbon flavor and the peaty finish. It's fantastic. I will say, though, that J has a deeper, richer, robust flavor to it. And whether it's the stock they used or whatever, I think this has more quality whiskey in it, I think, than this. But I actually would buy a bottle of this every day.
It's good.
This one I think would be too expensive for my palate. For my wallet. It's really
truth
nice.
comes out.
And so I will say that this is probably my favorite. But I would buy a bottle of this.
Wow, the
all
cheap
time.
factor just has so much weight on his opinion.
It does. I mean, it's so great. I would drink that. That's an everyday drinker for me.
you know what?
So you're going with
ironically
J, though.
I'm gonna go with Jay because it's probably better.
The glass I've got poured on the side for this is Royal Salute 21, which is a blend, and it's really freaking good.
It is. Man,
It
I'm
is.
telling you.
It's
All right.
really good.
So-
All right, we got to pull the answer.
You gotta pull the answer.
So-
Meanwhile, I will. Okay, for anybody else
So
to
we
drink
went
that,
J. Jay stays silent.
Oh,
I don't know.
Jay
Jay
stays.
stays silent.
Jay
I don't
goes-
know the recipe. D comes out.
I got to figure out who is. So, help me out, guys. What
We're
am I
gonna go
showing?
to. We're not showing. We're gonna show the answer key, and we're just gonna reveal D.
So I want to find out who D is, right?
So yep, select D. D is Alan
Oh,
Ward.
you're kidding me!
That's probably older whiskey in there.
I guarantee there's some Four Roses in
And
it.
that's why we do
Oh.
blind right there. Now I want to see what's in it though.
So here's
That's gonna be so good. Man,
here's the
God.
interesting thing is our sort of the championship round we're going to do with just patrons only. I really hope everyone that submitted a blend is going to be on that show because I want to talk to them and say, what were you thinking
Right,
to your
where did
point?
this
Where
come
did this
from?
come from? I want to. That's interesting. All right,
So
Alan, is he on? I hope
I
he's
don't
on.
think Alan's on. I
If
didn't-
you're
I
not
haven't seen
Alan, I was rooting for you because I know you got some good stuff, buddy, and I know
Man,
this is
that
going to be
is-
amazing.
we have seen
gonna
some
be
I
a
would,
little-
I would buy. Yeah, I'm gonna.
You know, this is nothing in here. This is not like I said, LaFroy Quartercast. There's no
No,
LaFroy Quartercast.
no.
in this is gonna be Four Roses and who knows?
And a bunch
Bottle,
of really great
probably
stuff.
like a 30-year-old.
100-year-old.
100-year-old
ridiculous
rose
nonsense.
bank. Or
I hope we
something in
didn't
there.
just get uninvited.
Yeah, right. You guys aren't welcome anymore. All right, Mark, I'll let you do the.
All right, hand it over, man. What we got?
All right.
Alan Ward says, Drew blend 3 ounces of Glengoyne Distillery cask bourbon finished, 1997, 54.9%.
Mid-50s.
3 ounces of Glen Scotia 31 bourbon cask
Told you.
finished, 46.1%. 4 ounces Lafroy Cartier 2014
Lafroy.
51.4%.
I called
Bourbon
Lafroy.
barrel and Amontillado seasoned hogshead. 1 ounce distilled water. So he watered this
He brought it down.
Holy
You can
crap.
get it
That's actually really cool to put that in the watered down part.
So 3 ounces Glengoyne, 3 ounces Glen Scotia, 4 ounces Lafroy, 1 ounce water.
I thought it might be Lafroy.
I didn't get
did.
any
You got
Lafroy in that at all.
Yes, I did. On that finish, man. Once you watered it, it was.
I heard a
Like
little
the
bit of
cake
it on
batter,
the nose.
I guess.
But so I think what made this one tough is the finishings on all of them, right? So you had 2 bourbon
It's hard to
casks.
pinpoint.
Then you had a bourbon barrel and Amontillado.
Maybe that was the cinnamon one or
Nope,
something.
nope, you're doing fine, man.
Amontillado seasoned hogshead. So I want to go back. So now that we know what's in this, Alan, so
What you doing?
what I really want is I want to taste these 3 scotches independently.
Yeah,
Well, you know where they live.
I can probably understand a couple of those flavors, but the other 2, I'm like, I have no idea what.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
3 ounces
shoot.
Glengoyne Distillery cask bourbon finish. 3 ounces Glen Scotia, 31-year-old Scotia.
Yeah, everybody's like, wow, well done, Bobby J, well done, Alan. Daniel saying,
Yeah.
oh, what a
Off
win.
with
You
that.
got it, guys. Yeah, I'd buy
wowzer.
that. I'd buy that too, Mandalorian. That's a freaking. And you know what? Here's a good thing about it is we have some. Is this it?
And you know what?
We have
Yeah.
plenty left over. So
Now that we know what was in it, we know Andrew can't afford it.
Yes. So
True that.
That's funny. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? 'Cause you thought it was
so good. I mean, it was like.
no, he can afford the 1 ounce distilled
That's
water.
right.
That's about
That's awesome. Kudos, Alan. Good job.
Love
Thank
it.
you, Alan.
Well, hang
I
on. To be
love it.
transparent, he can afford more than that. He's just so tight he won't.
I won't. Yeah.
That
All
was,
right,
Oh,
so,
so good.
we
That was
take.
awesome.
We've got
2 C's.
what's this?
I don't know.
I converted them to, so we have 2 of each flavor now.
Oh.
So I converted our glasses over. So we have 2 C's. I rinsed them. I wiped
There-
them out.
Yeah. There's a black marker down there.
So this is 2 F's here.
Where's the black
It's
marker?
right
I got one here.
Oh, he's got it. He took it on.
Yeah,
his-
so
I'm just
those
gonna-
are F's and those are C's.
This is a C now.
Yep.
So anyway, if everybody's watching to call us out, this is not a J. This is a C. So now that you've got a bottle, we've
This
got
is-
2 of
that's
each.
An F.
Yep.
This is an F.
Yeah, not a D.
We're just
That
gonna
way,
speed
that way
things
we can
along.
split the 2 in front and back.
Okay, but we're gonna let these sit for a hot second, and we're gonna talk about 5-minute whiskey.
Well,
Yes.
So let's talk. We put out a new video on Monday, 5-minute whiskeys. A little bit different
back to the wall,
concept. We've been playing with a lot of
Let's go
things
back
when it
on the
comes
bottom
to
shelf,
when we do our lives,
the-
format,
the-
this, that, and the
this is
other.
the one.
And we're
Yes.
trying to put out
Bottom shelf.
as,
This is
as
back
much
in, right?
content, and we
The one?
thought that 5-minute whiskeys might be
This
a
is
fun
the-
little
No,
thing.
that's
So
the one.
we chose Swing to do first because kind of got beat up on the Johnny Walker beginner's guide because I left out Swing. It's one of my favorite Johnny Walkers. Anyway, you guys should go through the comments on that video just to see how many people reminded me that we forgot swing. It's got to be over 100. I tried to answer them and I finally gave up. But anyway, 5-minute video whiskeys was basically Drew puts a timer up and we got to go through this thing and try to hit the high notes and get it out and get something, a quick hitter. It was fun to do, and I think we've got a bunch of them on the lineup to do. So they've been well received. But in the meantime, swing, Johnny Walker swing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were giving you grief about that, and it's going to take some time to come back. But the swing was a good one. I forgot how good it was. We said Christmas dram in the 5-minute review, and it is. It's a completely different
Johnny Walker
compared to the rest of the profile. So I'm glad we got a chance to do it again, and I like the format. I think we'll all start doing some more of those because they're easy and quick.
Yeah, they're easy, quick, and to be honest with you, the swing was prevalent on the shelf 6 years ago when we started this, and it kind of disappeared. I hadn't seen one for a long time. And then you bought a bottle and gave it to me, gifted me a bottle because you're like, dude, you don't have a swing, and I'm like, oh, I don't.
That was the first bottle I really liked at your place.
Right, so. But now I'm seeing it on the shelf again, which I'm happy to say, and so it is kind of a winter dram for me because it is a little bit more spicy. I like drinking it by the fireplace, kind of when there's snow outside and stuff. But Johnny Walker Swing, it's different in the lineup. It obviously looks different in the bottle. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have 5-minute whiskeys that you want to see, put them in the comments and let us know. Give us more ideas because they're really quick and easy for us to do. We just got to acquire the bottle, and hopefully you're not asking us to do a 5-minute whiskey on a 31-year-old Glen Scotia.
I feel like that'd be okay.
I mean, I would love to do it.
So
that envelope did not disappoint.
No, so it did not.
So
5-minute whiskeys. Love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Alan, thank you for submitting an entry. That thing was, especially after you see what's in it, I really want to try them.
No.
We need to come down to you anyway.
I want to know where the cinnamon came from.
I think it was the last one.
It had to be Lefroy.
It was crazy.
No. It was the bourbon barrel ones.
It could have been the blended Lefroy again.
I'm a deal cask probably.
I don't know, man. I mean, it could have been an interaction between two of them.
Yeah,
the Lefroy has
when you added water to that peach just trickled out in the finish. Man, it's so good.
All right, boys, clear your palates. We are going to do F versus C. These blends were submitted by patrons.
All right,
we're going to get into them.
Are we going to start with C first?
Yes.
Sure. C it is.
And
Mark,
I didn't pre-nose these.
Okay, hot.
Just nose. Just nose.
Hot ABV.
Doesn't seem to bother me, but I've got a whacked out nose right now.
A broken stinker. So what I've done here is I poured two of each now, so
note on the bottom of it.
The front can share and the back can share, so we get more time with each glass.
I got lemon zest, marshmallow cream,
I'll get your lemon, and I just get a lot of sugar on the bottom.
Citrus.
To be fair, that's one thing I can smell. I can smell salt and I can smell sweet. Sugar I could definitely get. So I usually get that right now.
See, I'm not getting hot on the nose.
Yeah, I didn't get any heat on any alcohol vapor heat, if you will.
I get a little bit
of.
I think of alcohol vapor.
Okay.
I get your lemon. I get
that.
There's a little bit of like tangerine or something. It's like a sweeter citrus. I got your marshmallow in there. It's got some vanilla notes.
Is there ginger? Is that pulling up on it?
Well, I'm trying to figure out if it's like a ginger spice or if it's the alcohol that's kind of
Probably
interacting.
the alcohol.
I think I need to take a sip just to kind
It's
of.
really light on the nose. It's not rich and robust on the nose for sure.
It's a subtle nose.
Glen Scotia Victoriana 5-minute video. I love that bottle.
Hey, how you doing?
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's hot on the palate.
I told you, I can smell the ABV. This is a hot one.
Don't try and bubble that. Whoop!
It does not smell hot at all to me.
It didn't me either. And
I don't know if
nice,
I want
though.
to taste it before I go into F. Gosh dang it. All right.
We'll try a sip and then we'll go into F.
It's really light. Very
You got to take
bourbon
it slow.
finish.
Oh man, it's hot. it's the I'm afraid like I got this and then the back goes.
No, it comes for you, man. it comes out of nowhere.
I gotta be honest.
That's
it's
like
a lot
all
lighter than
SMWS or something.
It is really light.
I expected. It's very light.
I kind of like it though. It's got some nice sweet notes to it. There's a little bit of citrus mixed in.
It's like a creamy
The-
bourbon.
It feels almost bourbon barrel finished.
It really needs some water to bring the heat
Oh,
down
God,
so it
yeah.
doesn't assault you quite as harsh. But
Are we ready to do that?
I gotta be honest, it's a lot lighter on the
That's
palate than I anticipated with that ABV.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
add water to ours back
yeah,
here
I
right now.
bring it
'cause
down.
Oh, it on
it's really
C?
potent.
I think you're getting.
Go for it, Rob.
I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be light.
Don't be
No.
shy.
I mean, that thing's probably like 63. Like,
I mean, it's
it's
hot.
hot.
all right.
I'm gonna
So
start
F?
small enough.
Yep, go on F. All right, so we
All
added
right,
water.
So
to
you
C.
added water to C. Let that thing go.
F
I
is
didn't
super
swirl
light
it.
on the
I didn't
nose.
Swirl it. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Huh. Really?
It's funny you call the nose.
Hey,
out
I
hot.
see Ronan's in. I
Yeah,
got
that's
your Facebook message. I'll get back to you later.
Well, this one's got a little bit of alcohol vapor on the nose as well.
You didn't think they were all going to come in at 40 ABV, did you?
I didn't think any of them were coming in at 40.
Yeah, it's hot in the nose. Not as hot as the first one.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's going to sneak up on you, my man.
It's gonna give you a punch.
No, you might be right because I'm trying to get past it.
It's-
I got
it's-
apple. I got red apples. I got.
It's got a little bit of fruitiness and a little bit of sweet, but I can't really get to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Sugar-
very light
yeah.
nose.
It is. It's the alcohol vapor is really masking it. I'm getting apples, sweet.
Getting a little bit of funk on it.
I was.
Yep.
Thank you.
There's a hint.
I didn't get any funk. Not yet.
Yeah,
It's
there's,
got
there's,
got
there's
that
definitely
funk.
funk on there.
It's got
It
some
says
brown
F.
sugar.
Yeah, it's the F for funk.
It's got a sweet nose to it. Like to me, that's the prevalent
There's something
quality.
funky going on in there. You
Yeah,
think
there's-
this is
I'm,
a Rick James
There's
bottle?
some Springbank in
Could
there.
be. Could be. It may kick you out the window.
Okay, now I got your funk. Yeah, that's a Madeira maybe or something.
Wow, that's surprisingly a little cloying as well.
There's Springbank in there.
He says there's Springbank in there.
Or it's equivalent.
Boy, it's leaving
Man.
some alcohol numb on the lips, though.
I like that one.
I
It's
do
not
too.
as hot at all.
So it's hot, but it's not nearly as hot as the other one.
No.
But it's got enough heat to bring an interesting flavor profile. But the alcohol meshes really nice with
It does.
the sweet, and there's like a little bit of a funky quality to it. Like it
Any
just
chocolate?
flows,
You guys
man.
get any chocolate on there?
A little
bit
bit
of,
on the
finish.
back end, yeah, but
tiny
like
bit.
milk chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little creamy
I mean, I'm
chocolate.
stretching.
Yeah.
I'm still, I'm trying to get my feet under me.
I think you're right.
like-
There could be a splash of Springbank or something Campbelltown there.
there's-
I'm not sure yet.
The Scottish pace.
That's good.
It
That's
doesn't
really
need a whole lot of water. but
Did we put water in?
Andrew watered C. He hasn't touched that yet. So
let me water F a little bit.
good. Ooh.
Huh.
It's still hot.
No, I mean it's more approachable
I added
now.
a fair amount of water to that too. So
It's much more approachable.
So, Mandalorian
It's
fanboy,
very
what Johnny
fruity.
Walker 18 are you talking about, my friend? Why don't you give us a little more detail? If it's a Centenary
no,
blend,
see
I'm all
now,
about
now
that.
I'm pulling more fruits out of F.
Okay.
Nice.
I got those. Remember those soft, chewy caramel vanilla, the white things in the middle.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what those are, but that's what I'm getting on the nose now.
More caramels. That makes total sense.
Man, it's still hot on the palate.
Really? Does it need more water?
I don't know.
So F is definitely sweetened up.
The Charleston Chew, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think that's it. No.
It
No.
smells like they're no-name candies.
Yeah, but they're like caramel with a
Caramel with
weird
a white,
like a
gold-
white
with
little
a white
thing in the
cream
middle.
center. Yeah, those are good.
Damn.
Right?
The nostrils.
Wow, that's
Woo!
that's a nice
Damn.
that's a nice taste.
Is this like pure distillate?
C is
Oh, it's really oaky now in the finish. I didn't get that before.
C is interesting. It's got some stuff going on.
This is gonna be hard.
It's hard.
Wow, C's turning good. You put a little more water on that bad boy.
I think it almost needs to sit for just a little bit and chill out. It does need probably a little bit more water. How much water did you put on this, Andrew?
About not much of the dropper.
These notes have me and Brianne wondering if these are our blends up against each other.
I would laugh at that.
Who can guess the name of the obscure candy Drew's referring to tonight?
Brienne loves my little stupid things, man. I
So-
say them all the time. She loves them. What was the last one? The cream Cornish hen or something like that?
Yeah. So yeah, caramel creams. Yeah, I would say this one, C definitely has a creaminess to it. It's a soft, sugary.
Yes.
I don't say cling isn't right. It's just really sweet, and that's the predominant flavor profile. I'm not getting a whole. There's no funk. There's no like ruby fruits or plums or any of that. It's like bourbon barrel finish with great precision with that. It's well done, but it's like almost exclusively bourbon barrel.
I got plum jam mixed with caramel cream and a tad of bitter dark chocolate.
I just told you there's no
C?
plum in there.
On C.
I just told you there's no plum.
I got plum.
I just told you there's no plum. I got plum.
I got plum. You're wrong.
I don't get any plum in there. But
Wrong.
I'm not
Wrong.
saying you can't taste it. I think
let's try
that the
it.
water didn't do kind things to F.
I don't know. I can't
It's
remember.
not bad. I'm not saying that it's horrible or anything, but I liked it
not
better
better.
neat.
Well, you can always fortify it if you
Shit.
want.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what next one's going to bring here. Which one?
The
are we doing?
nose on C
We
is
started on that
delightful.
Mandalorian.
Are we doing C now?
We've actually done the double 21, I
that's
think.
more.
Mm-hmm.
We've yeah, and I've had the 32 at a whiskey tasting.
We had a double back there.
Yeah, the 21.
I've got one on my bar.
Boy, I don't think
Man,
F changed much with water.
I gotta clear my palate on these. I'm at a toss up here.
It's almost cough syrupy.
F? No.
I got to tell you,
I'm at an impasse.
first impressions, I was all about F. Now with the water, C's really good.
It's maturing. It's
Well, that was
coming.
my way
it's-
with D on the previous one. D just got so
It's coming
much
out
better.
of It's coming out of gate strong.
I know. It's a heavyweight bout, dude.
I think you're right.
All right, let me clear my palate.
This is a tough one.
F is more sherry influenced than C is.
Yes.
Sure,
I'll agree
give
with
you
that.
Yeah,
I'll
there's
agree with
probably
that.
more Oloroso, more of an oxidized sherry. Definitely not a sweet, but I think. I'm
I
afraid
think-
the spring maker's
I
overpowering.
like them both. I think this one's going to go to a little bit more of
Go to the
the
Campbelltown.
extras to what they're offering at this point because they're both delicious drams.
I think the
actually.
Campbelltown's over.
Wow.
I'm gonna call C for me because I think that the higher ABV gave it more legs to stand on. I like that it has a little bit more complexity to it. That caramel cream is really, really good for me. I like the sweetness of dark chocolate. It has a little bit more complexity to it. F, I think, started off strong with the neat. When you added water, I think you said it, that it kind of weakened it a little bit.
I don't know because I just went back to it now, and I think the
weak.
water's had time to like chill
Sit
out
in
with
it.
it, and it's pretty.
It's good. No, they're both good. I'm splitting hairs here. I think C. I'm gonna give my weight on C this one because it's a little bit more complex and the higher ABV. Yep, I'm good.
So I'll disagree with you on that. We're gonna go backwards this time.
Okay.
All right.
So I think C is more one-dimensional. It's more of a bourbon finish flavor. It's the caramels and the sweetness and all that, but it just kind of, you add water, it becomes more dilute of the same flavors. Whereas F, I'm picking up much more on the nose now. So I did get that funk up front, absolutely, and I love that. But when we added water to it, I'm getting more sweetness up front. That's
Be
contrary
deliberate so
to that
everybody sees.
funk. So I'm gonna go with F.
Okay.
I like F.
Okay.
I think it's more flavorful blend.
I'm gonna go with F2. I like C a lot. C is a punch. It's got a lot of flavor in there, but to me it's all the same flavor. Okay. F to me has more flavors that I think are working together. I love that little bit of funk I got on the nose up front. Believe it or not, after it's watered down, F is more approachable. I guess I hate to use the word smooth,
I don't know, man.
but
Do you want some more?
I don't know. I
Four or five?
think F is more
I like
interesting
C.
and complex
C.
to me in a good way. C is awesome. It's a little more one-dimensional to me. It's powerful. It's going to punch you in the nose. It's going to let you know it's there, and it's going to but what's there is one-dimensional from a flavor profile. F's finish goes on for a long time. I mean, honestly, I took a drink of F and thought it was all said and done and gone, and I was like, "Oh, damn! Hello, you came back to me." I mean, it's just this is a tough. These are both really good blends. These are really good in their own right. I'm gonna go with F just because I think it's more interesting to me, and it's a little bit more approachable.
Uh-oh.
I think Sean's
Tiebreaker?
Keys in your hand.
Sean is like
All right, man.
freaking. Yeah.
Well, it's not really a tiebreaker because if I pick C, then we're gonna have a debate.
It's jury.
of sorts.
Dun dun dun.
It'll be fine. All right. So I'm having an interesting internal debate about these two.
Ignore us.
So C to me it's good.
I like C.
It's hot though, and so it's
Absolutely
a
it is.
little bit unapproachable initially. And I agree with you guys that I think that it's got some unidimensional characteristics. I was hoping that the water would open it up a little bit more, and it just kind of brings down the alcohol a little bit. But I get the same kind of flavor profile. It's good. I would drink that every day. I
Right,
mean, it's
absolutely.
really nice. I think F. Initially, I was big fan of F. I like out of the gate. I was like, oh,
I did
this
too,
is going to
actually.
be an easy pick. And then with the water, F kind of like wobbled a little bit, and I was like,
It effed up.
Knees buckles.
yeah,
Effed it up.
calm down, boy, calm down. You're gonna be okay. Deep breaths.
Say something to the sequel.
But but I think that once the water kind of had a chance to marry in with F, the flavor profile came back strong, and I really enjoy F. So I think I'm going to go with F, although C is very good.
All right.
So I think F is going to be my choice.
All right, easy. So I got to find out who.
C is dun dun dun.
Dan
C.
C.
All right, Dan C.
Daniel.
It's time to get in the
I'll tell
car
ya.
and go to the liquor store.
It was a valiant effort, though.
What
Valiant.
is it?
Yep.
So F goes away. We don't know what that is.
F is good. F goes back on the
C?
shelf. C
I'll tell
goes
you
up
what.
top.
I want to pour a little more C right now. I mean.
You know, that doesn't surprise me that C is Daniel. Hot. SMWS.
Son of a
Cast
gun,
X,
man.
man.
It brings the thunder.
All right.
Is this Tim? What's Kyle?
Holy
may be on
moly.
the
Is
bottom.
Dan on?
On the bottom.
Oh, Dan's like, this is not hot.
Jeff feels it.
Dan's like, there's no.
Here, this is Dan's.
All right.
Dan's like, pull your kilts down, boys.
Right?
Those aren't skirts.
You're out of the club.
For the record, I picked you, Dan.
Quit kissing ass.
Oh, here's the ingredients on the back.
Yeah.
So he put his like in a special attachment to the
Well,
bottle.
that was originally the idea. They copied it, and we got a few more up there.
I love that.
It did make it easier to send
Then,
out.
So
then
what
you
does he
can't
call
mess
that?
up.
Right.
Glen Clare 2021 blend, 12-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey, 55.5% 55.55% ABV. He actually has a measurement device that can do that.
Really?
Do you have the answers there?
I was going to say, I don't know.
I bet he
man.
did the math.
You did that. So I'm going to open
good
up
about that.
his ingredients if I can peel all the tape off this. Did you put the tape on here? Or did you-
No, this is how I got it. Yeah, I put tape on it.
Easy. Easy.
I'm trying to be careful.
Hopefully, he has the answers if we can't read it.
There we go.
All right, we got it.
All right.
And here
Oh
you
my
go.
gosh, he's got
Drum
a
roll,
lot.
please.
All right. So it's all, well, no, it's all, no. So SMWS,
I said SMWS. I said
4.261, 12-year-old Highland Park.
That's a Highland Park. WS.
SMOS, Ardmore, 21-year-old Hogshead, 12.5%. That's
How much is
So
in
this
there?
is 50% Highland Park, 12-year-old.
Okay.
SMWS.
So it starts with Highland Park 12-year-old, SMWS Highland Park.
Yeah.
And what
Okay.
number was it? For what?
4.261.
Dan, what's the name of 4.261?
So then he has
They have to be SMWS.
SMWS Ben Nevis, 23-year-old. No, he's
No,
there's
it's no numbers.
SMOS, which I'm not sure what that is.
SMOS.
What is
Single
Scott-
Mall of Scotland.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Ben Nevis, 23-year-old Sherry Butt, 12.5%. And there's an SCN Kleinleash, 23-year-old, 12.5%.
Single cast nation.
And then there's a Brooklotti Black Art, 8.1. 26
I'll
years.
say I have some sophistication in this palate, boys. That's some good stuff.
Oh my God.
So in SMWS,
To be fair, I am sure that every bottle that
Oh,
we got
yeah.
is full of good
Yeah.
stuff.
Highland Park, Ardmore, Ben Nevis, Clynelish, and Black Art. So
And
why
I
did
will
we
say-
get the bourbon barrel finish and all that?
Every one of those bottles on their own, standalone right here on this bar, are great bottles.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great single malts.
Did
And
you
I'm
get
not
peated?
saying they don't
It's
go to.
50% Highland Park.
No.
I don't get
No,
peated in Highland
no,
Park.
there wasn't
Highland
much
Park,
peat.
mostly 4%, 4 ppm, 4 to 12 ppm.
That's all kind of like I think it's, I don't know all of them, but I mean, that
like
makes
peated
sense
water.
in my palate. The,
Sherry
the
butt,
creamy,
sherry cask, Black
creamy
Art.
caramel. I don't know 2 of those, but I mean 3 of them I do, and that makes sense
So
for the creamy caramel.
Ben Nevis, sherry butt, Clynelish, sherry cask, and then a Black
mean,
Art, which is those are
Don't get us
your
wrong.
one cask.
Yeah.
It was good.
Whiskey Mystery says, "See that Black Art? Pulled it down."
That's crazy.
That is a hellacious. You know what? Since you guys don't like it, where's that? I'll take
Wait,
it.
no. I poured myself another. Wow.
That is
Wow.
a delicious dram.
I
So,
wonder why it tastes so
holy
hot.
crap!
Because I would have guessed upper 50s neat.
Well, it's 55.
Easily.
It's 55%. But the thing is, it held that.
Jeez.
It held that
But
water.
It did
did.
not have any
It
problems. with
tastes
water.
hotter than the one that Voyager.
Which is 60.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did taste hotter than. It may
Right?
may have
And,
been.
and that might be a little bit of that peat coming in,
and-
but I mean,
I mean, the youngest whiskey is 12 year Highland Park.
I don't know.
yeah, but that's an SMWS 12 year.
Well-
I mean, that's a cast strength.
And so now we're debating the interaction of these whiskeys together,
Right,
like
I mean-
what they bring to the table. Like
I-
the
yeah.
stuff that Alan poured, I would never have been like, if you pour these together, it's going to taste like cinnamon.
No.
I wouldn't have
No.
figured that out.
Considering that none
So,
of them taste like
I-
cinnamon
I-
up front.
I will ask Daniel, do you have a sample of it at your house that you could taste? Has it changed since you blended it? That's the key to question is when you put it together, it tasted one way. Is it different now than when you blended it? That's the question. Because it probably is.
Yeah, I think the quote of the night is Trapper. There is blending is full of surprises. Absolutely. I
Yep.
mean, it's fun. I mean, that's why it's better to kind of do it on small batches where you can kind of control it a little bit versus big old batches. These guys had to do it in pretty big batches, 8-ounce
Yeah.
samples. So it's harder to do that much.
Yeah.
So Whiskey Mystery says that Ben Nevis 23 is top spot bottle right now. I mean, these are all on their own. We're talking about
Very good
5
bottles.
whiskeys that stand on their own and hold their weight
Pour that back in there. I want
against
some more
any
of that bad
bottle.
boy. That's good. That is good.
So
Drew
Dan,
loves it.
I guess make sure you know which one you just lost to, because when you find out, I hope you're not sorely disappointed, because these are 5 very good whiskeys.
When
that
you find
put
out
in.
it was like 50% White Walker and
Johnny Walker Red. Wow, man, that was a tough.
So C goes on the top shelf and F goes to the bottom shelf.
I mean, to be fair, the nose on C isn't like blow you away.
No,
No.
it's not. The nose does not punch.
But Black Art didn't blow me away. I mean, it's good, but it didn't blow me away. It didn't have like
no,
huge
it's
complexities.
very subtle.
I'll be honest with you. I think the last Black Art I had was 5.1.
4.1 is what I think. Was it 5 or 4?
I think 4. It was 5. I think I had
We've
5.
had 5-1.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we visited that, but damn.
That's interesting. That was really cool, guys. This is right here tonight is what I love about doing this stuff. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Well, this is a super total blind, right? Like
yes.
even the people that blended it don't really know what the bottle's going to taste like at this point.
Right.
And we're putting them up head to head completely blind. We don't know what's in them. We don't know the ABV. Like it was very interesting.
Honestly, it raises the question when we get James Saxon on from Compass Box in a couple weeks.
Oh,
after
that's gonna
this
be
is all
great.
said and done. One of the questions I want to ask is, when you're blending, do you guys set a blend aside for a month and go and revisit it
What's
before
the
you
trial?
decide
Yeah.
it's good? Because honestly, these things change. I mean, I'm very
Yeah.
curious to see what Dan has to say if he's got any of this
Did he
blend.
talk
No, he
Set
said he
that.
loved it. He said it's freaking awesome.
I mean, do you have? Things will change, and
I had
the
some
way
last
they
night. Yeah.
mature
It is good.
as they mix is really crazy. And does that go into a blender's thought process,
Well,
like a
there's
John
got to be
Glaser?
so many nuances and specifics to that. Like there's got to be like some kind
Where's
of
all the sherry?
thought process and process period as far as waiting and delaying. And I mean,
I
just
would
so many things
say
I can't
it's-
even fathom.
I honestly think that it's probably like cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, and in the sense that these guys have probably done it for so long that they can predict, like, okay, well, this barrel tastes like this and this barrel tastes like this. So when they interact, this is what
This
I'm
is
going to
gonna
end up
happen.
with.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
Yeah, because you know how much herb to add at the beginning, because you know it's gonna.
People get mad when I teach them how to cook stuff because I'm like, all right, well, we're just going to throw some stuff in the pot, right? And they're like, well, how much you put in? And I'm like, I don't know, some, enough, this much, you know, and because I've
Sound
done
like
it for
grandma.
so long, I'm like, this is how you do it. And people that are just starting out are like, well, how much is that? Because I need to know exact recipes. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, then I've got to like really go back and figure it out. And then I'm like, okay, well, you're doing it wrong.
Right. I was gonna say you sound like my grandma. I used to ask her how to make Polish recipes, and she's like, I don't know. You put this much, and I'm like, we can do
Well,
it.
so that's a classic pattern for a new person. So
Yep.
you know, my son will put something in the microwave. How long do I heat it for? You don't know yet. Start at 30 seconds. Start a minute. You know, it comes with experience.
Yeah.
From a chef's perspective, do you take into account? Let's say you're going to put an herb in there. Do you take into account if that herb is old or if it's fresh?
Sure. So, I mean, I will take
yeah.
into account if it's fresh or dried when you're putting it in, because if you're putting an herb in at the beginning of a recipe versus the end, it's going to season it more.
That's
believe
right.
it or not.
Sure.
So, like if I'm making a soup, like your mirepoix goes in first with your butter, and then all of your spices go in. Like that's how you start every soup.
All spices at the beginning.
Yep. And then you adjust the flavors at the end. And I'm sure that a lot of this is kind of the same way. You know, we're starting off with a batch recipe. We're going to dump 50 barrels in together, and it's going to come out with somewhere in this range of flavors.
Yeah, but
And then we're going to adjust it based off of, you know, where we want to narrow down the range. And I mean, that's how I make soups and sauces.
I
and
would
everything
think
else.
some of this stuff has to be somewhat thought process. So like that. Okay, so we've got, you know, in our distiller, we've got X number of barrels. We know from experience that these four work well together. Let's figure out, do they do like little small trials here to say, you know what, we're going to add some this and this.
Mini pools, yeah.
I would think so, to try it before they mixed up, you know.
So I mean, I can tell you from like on a weekend, I'll have an idea of a special or what, you know, feature, whatever I'm going to run, and so I'll start making a sauce. And so my first stop is like, let's go on the walk-in. I've got an idea for what I want to do. Let's make sure I've got all the ingredients for what I want to do. So I go on the walk-in and I'm like, okay, well, I've got orange juice and I've got, you know, green onions and I've got fresh thyme and, you know, I've got like all these ingredients and like I need some mustard and all like, I mean, you guys would be like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
Right,
just like
I'm
pulling all
already
this
going,
stuff
"Oh,
out.
yeah."
And so I'll start off with a basic idea for a sauce that I want to make, and I'll go out to the bar and I'll like dig through all the liquors and like, oh, I've got like cilantro liqueur and, you know, I'll grab some Grand Marnier.
Cilantro liqueur.
I do have cilantro liqueur.
That's pretty cool.
But it tastes exactly like fresh
Does it
cilantro.
really?
It's friggin' weird.
That's interesting.
But I'll like grab a bunch of stuff and I'm like, okay, well, I've got a really good idea of like kind of where I want this sauce to land. And so I'll start off and I'll make the sauce and then it's a tasting game and like, okay, I'll taste it and it's come out like a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And so now I've got to find something to counteract the sweetness. So I get some soy sauce and I get some garlic and, you know, so something that's going to bring that sweetness down a little bit. And then, you know, maybe I overshoot the mark. And so now I've got to put in a little bit of honey because I don't want to put in any more citrus. And so you end up like just trying to balance all that out. And I'm sure this is a lot like that. At the end of the day, you got to figure that out.
So I asked the question about the ingredients, whether they're fresh or not, because to me that's comparison of like when I'm blending, I got to think about casks.
Right.
And the cask is my herb. Is it dried? Is it wet? Is it sherried? Is it European? And so it's almost, I'm trying to liken a blender. Use the analogy of a blender to what you're doing, and so that's why I asked that question.
It would be interesting. Somebody mentioned it. I think it was Sunday Evening Scotch or somebody. But it would be interesting to talk to the guy from Compass Box and say how much of this is a chef versus a chemist.
Right?
Yes.
That would be cool.
So Eric Waite, thanks for the super chat, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
He's showing the wines definitely do mature as a vatted
Cheers, Eric.
solution.
Thank you.
So
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
But yeah, I think it's probably a mixture of both. I think I mean, just like every job you do is similar. I mean, there's got to be some kind of process that a common process that works. Then it's a little bit of, hey, let's mess around a little bit.
Well, and for me, at work, I've got to get a detailed recipe for my staff.
Yeah.
So there are things that I'm going through that I'm like, okay, this is the basics of it. And if you do this, you're going to hit in this range every time. You're not going to hit exactly where I hit, but you're going to be pretty close to where I hit. But there's definitely stuff that I'm like, I'm not going to let you touch that. I'm going to do that myself.
Yeah.
So it comes out the way I want it to.
But let's not that we have much time, but let's take it to the next level. And I know you just went through this in the last 6 months. Now you're not just doing a recipe for tonight's special, for Saturday's special. You're doing it because you're going to freaking put it on a shelf somewhere and sell it. So you're going to batch process this shit. So that's what these guys are doing.
So once you figure it out, then you.
Well,
yeah.
I can tell you because
Does shit change?
I'm doing a mustard sauce for the barbecue place right now.
not.
It's the sample sitting. So how that works is I do a recipe at initially I do it like a home scale. So like I'm making like a quart of sauce. And so it comes out, and I adjust it. So it would be like me making a feature at work.
Right.
So it's a quart. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I get the recipe kind of dialed in, and then I have to bring it up to like a restaurant level. So let's say I make
5 gallons.
like a 2-gallon batch, right? So a exponential increase in all of the ingredients, and you'd be amazed at the difference in when you're doing a 10
The
or 12 or
ratio
15
changes?
times. It does, because there are things that you don't need to add in the same proportion. Like their flavoring quality
Is stronger or weaker.
and so you don't need to add as much, even though you have more of the same ingredient. So when you're cooking, even at restaurant scale, you're talking about cups and an ounce of this or whatever.
Tablespoons, yeah.
When you ramp it up and you're doing production at a large scale, so I'm getting a pallet of this sauce done.
So hundreds of gallons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a small batch.
Yeah.
That's like I mean, if you did a 200-gallon
Kiko
batch,
Man does more than that, for sure.
200-gallon batch is like a super small restaurant, like saving up and buying their one pallet of sauce.
Yeah.
So at that level, I send them a sample of my restaurant level sauce, and I give them the recipe, and then they figure out the ratios by weight, because everything is by weight at that scale.
Yeah, you do kilos of this and kilos of that, yeah.
And so they get their recipe based off of that, and then they make the recipe and they send me a sample of it. They do it at a really small scale, and then I taste it, and I have to take that sample and make it like my sauce that I was making. So I've got to correct the flavor profile of that sample based off of my original recipe. So I tell them what I did, and then so then it's a process of me telling them what I did and them adjusting their recipe. So I know right now that sauce needs starch, so it's got to get thickened up a little bit. And there's some other things that I'm going to adjust, but
it's got to be the same theory in a sense.
But that's kind of the same thing.
But wouldn't you think it also boils down to your inventory too, and then also marketing? Like what do we need to get to versus our inventory?
Some of that, for sure. I mean, from a restaurateur standpoint, you're walking and you're like, oh, the fish is going to turn. We need to get that out the door, right?
It's special on fish.
And so you think up different ways to market stuff. Like ideally, you sell everything the first night and you don't have to worry about it. But there's always some things that you're like, I should do something with that. It's been sitting here for a little bit and we need to get it out the door. And I'm sure whiskey, same way. I mean, they've got, and it even more so because they're doing market studies and trying to figure out, and stay ahead of the game. So there's a lot of that, I'm sure, that goes
years
on.
ahead of the game, yeah.
And you've got a product that you're talking about having to age for minimum 3 years.
It's what I was going to say.
So I mean, you've got a long lead time, and so I'm sure that there's times where you're like, okay, well, bourbon barrel finish was the thing, but now everybody wants wine finishes. I guess we got to go get some wine casks.
But all our bourbon finishes are coming due.
Right? And so I think that there's a lot of that, too. So I mean, it would be tough. I mean, it's definitely a tough industry. I don't envy at all the
gotta be
master
hard.
blenders trying to
Constant
figure out what to
decisions.
do to stay ahead of all of that. But it's an art form, just like being a chef is an art form. I mean, there's definitely some science, and there's definitely some things that, you know, I'm sure that they can teach people coming in, like, okay, well, we always start with this recipe.
Yep.
You know, and then after that, it's experience.
Yep.
It's learning to figure out, you know, what this thing is missing and being able to add that in to make it special.
Yep.
Well, to bring it back to the blinds, tonight was 2 really solid rounds.
Solid.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
there
good.
were 4 solid blends.
Yeah, I would drink
that
any
was
of
tough.
those any day. Yeah.
Hats off to all 4 participants. The guys, Alan and Dan, you guys didn't lose to schleps here. You guys put together quality.
Honestly,
wines.
I was just thinking if the letters would have been changed in the bracket, like I'm not sure which ones would be going on to the next
I
round
really
at this
exactly.
point.
That
if
was
they had
hair
shuffled them?
splitting. Hair splitting.
Yeah.
They were very
What's
good.
going to be interesting is when we get to that Final Four and then the championship, they're going to be really hard.
Yeah.
We may have to come up with something special just to figure out the debate.
Figure
It's
that
going
out.
to be hard.
There's going to be a debate.
It's
I
going to
guarantee
have
it.
to be because it's going to be so hard.
Right.
Guys,
It'll be fun.
awesome. It's so good to be back on Thursday.
It is. It is. And happy birthday again, Tom. Thanks for all the super chats tonight.
Yep.
Guys, we've got lots of stuff. We've got special guests coming around, so we may still be showing up on Sundays.
Yeah, we will be.
We'll
So,
be.
so
Definitely
the other
will be.
thing to note is the final round of this bracket is a patron-only event.
That's
so
right.
if you want to see that final
That's
round,
true.
become a patron.
We're going to do a Zoom call. We're going to have people on. We're going to be talking. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
A lot
we're
of
going to get the
interaction.
insights
Very
from
cool.
everybody that participated. So, Thursday nights are where we're at. Keep an eye for Sunday night,
Whatever.
our Sunday afternoon lives.
And by the way, bourbon stuff is coming up from us.
bourbon
so-
stuff
Bourbon,
is
we're gonna
coming
pick some
up.
random bourbons.
Yeah, we've got
I
some,
have a bottle of 101 at the house. Wild Turkey 101.
Turkey 101. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers. Love
Cheers,
y'all.
guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
3, 2, 1.